Welcome to another episode of Angels, Positivity, and Love. I'm so excited to have Tricia Barker on today from Fort Worth, Texas. Most of you are going to know her. She's been on a lot of shows, been on TV extensively. She had a near-death experience in Austin, Texas when she was still a student at University of Texas, obviously headquartered there. She's written an incredible book, Angels in the OR. You can check that out on Amazon. This is what the book cover looks like. You'll find the link in the show details down below the video. And Tricia and I had a really good chance to interact just before the show. I'm excited about that. I'd like to just mention she got an MFA in, I believe, creative writing from Goddard College. She is now a professor teaching in that area. I believe English writing, creative writing, stuff like that. Meanwhile, she is a healer, a medium, theta healer. You can look her up, go to her website. Again, her website, Tricia Barker, NDE as in near-death experience, TriciaBarkerNDE.com. And it's just so wonderful to have her on the show. She's, again, been on like Coast to Coast AM, Next Level Soul with Alex Ferrari. And she's just a delight to meet.
Oh, thank you so much. Your show is a delight, and I'm happy to be here. You're a delight.
Well, thank you again. What would you like to start off with? You've done a lot of these shows, and I saw a post of yours recently on Facebook with another wonderful near-death experience survivor, experiencer. And you both commented on how a lot of the shows aren't getting to the kind of the meat and the potatoes. They're not asking enough, they're not pushing enough. How is it about this? And how are we all connected? And I think you even said at one point, the younger generation even gets it more, maybe. How are they more connected? Let's start somewhere like there.
Yeah, so this new generation of students I teach at a community college, they are so compassionate. And I think that, we talk about love a lot as near-death experiencers, but they have so much empathy and compassion for one another's situations, and they're tired of labels. They really are kind of in this oneness vibe with one another, and it's beautiful to see. And I feel like I'm preaching to the choir a lot of times with them. I feel like there are things that they can teach me, and this is a wonderful point in history. If we hear so much negativity about Gen Z, but I just want to erase some of that and say I'm excited about them. I mean, they're like the generation that I've been waiting for so long. So I'd say let's get excited about what they're going to bring to the planet and what they're going to inspire and do.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so I'm going to ask you next, like, what's one of your favorite definitions for compassion? But I'll mention one right now to buy a little time for you. I'll mention two. Compassion, and this is quoting an angel named Mac, don't call her Mackenzie, is treating every moment with the awareness of a newborn baby. And another angel named Millicent once said, treat all with kindness and love. And that's how there's a trillion definitions of compassion. What are your favorite reminders of what it is to be compassionate?
It's to listen with empathy to the journey of others and really give honor to that journey. So I think this generation is very good. They're happy to see one another and in person, and they will listen to each other's stories, and they'll follow along and really be on that ride with someone. So I think it's beautiful to hear students deeply listen to one another and care.
Ooh, beautiful. Okay, tell us a little bit about yourself. You've had a journey. Your journey's still unfolding. I think it's only getting bigger as we're looking ahead for you. Where are you on this journey, and where do you want to take us? Maybe back to the beginning at some point?
Yeah, so for quite some time, I've been on this mission, and I had God as a guidance counselor, as I joke a lot of times, and I was told to come teach. But every moment with these students, it doesn't matter if I was teaching at a boarding school where students were very wealthy, or I was teaching in an impoverished area. It's always a gift to work with people. It's always a gift, as you know, to interview people. Anytime you are there with people, you are receiving a gift. And I think I didn't realize that about life. Like many people before my near death experience, I had been judged a lot, and I judged other people pretty harshly. That was one of my lessons in the afterlife. And what I thought is if I had enough money, if I had enough success, then people wouldn't judge me so harshly. And that was really the big impetus, is like, I'm tired of being judged. What I realized though is that this journey is so much more magical than that. That when you're connected to passion, when you're truly connected to what you love, and when you're connected to soul, nothing else matters and everything falls into place. Oddly enough, it's a really truly magical journey. So I was not in a magical place before my near death experience, but I certainly was afterwards. And you live in Austin. My accident occurred in North Lamar, right where Lamar and Guadalupe intersect. And so I think around the 52nd Street is where it happened. And I didn't live very far from that. So, they say you get into major car accidents only a few blocks from home. I lived in an old apartment complex over there. So that was where it all changed. And I believe I've talked with many astrologers, many different people, that this accident was fated. It was meant to be. Like, this was a soul plan long before I came here. This was going to happen. And I was a little terrified, honestly, at a soul level to go through it. So I was already kind of outside of time that night before. I don't write about that too much in the book, but you know how when you sense, like, we can't help it, we sense something major is coming, because we all have that intuitive ability, even if we consider ourselves agnostic, as I did. And I felt it. I had terrifying dreams that night before my accident. I could hear my parents screaming. I could hear, it was like this dark tunnel coming for me. And about a month before the accident, I had also, I thought, and probably a lot of people who are agnostic, I thought I'd had a psychotic break, because I did lift up out of my body. I'd smoked too much weed at a comedy club, and I lifted up out of my body, and I heard very clearly, "You are going to die soon." And I was like, huh? No. Okay, this is just terror. This is not real. And that's actually why I started running and getting in better shape. Is I heard that and I thought, no, I'm not. If this is some part of my psyche telling me no, this is not going to happen. But it did happen. All that preparation of getting in shape, stopping, smoking and drinking, and, I was on my way to this better life. That's when I had the accident. And, at a physical level, it took away my ego. And this is where the ego begins to just kind of disintegrate, as I realized, oh, I can't control anything. I am dependent on when the ambulance gets here. I'm dependent on who operates on me. Now my life is out of my hands. And that's a terrifying feeling for a young adult. Like, you want to believe that you're pushing forward, that you're doing something. But in that moment, I knew I was gonna have to wait for other people.
Okay, so when you were, I don't know how to call it, when you're on the other side or you're under, you got to meet different figures. You had experiences. Who do you still stay in touch with? Is it all of the figures? Archangel Michael, who, Gabriel? Can you share like one at least segue, takeaway, all this time later?
Yeah, so I saw two amazing angels helping my body heal. So when I went into spinal surgery, there were two angels that were working through my surgeons, and I continued to work with both of those angels when I was recovering. So I was in the hospital for 10 days, and back in bed, I would just feel them, and I knew that they had the ability to heal. And Tony Danza had actually broken his back at the exact same time. So he had done this in a skiing accident. So, the Hollywood tabloids were telling us, about his progress. So I was like, angels, I'm on Tony Danza's schedule. He's got the best, he's got the best team working on him. I am going to heal just as quickly as him. Okay. And so they would work on me at night, and I would feel a blue light coming through, and I would feel calmer because of their work. And I knew I could literally see my bones regrowing around the rods, because they put, metal rods, titanium rods in my back. And I could visualize it. I could almost feel it like speeding up. And by the time I went into my surgeon to take the picture to see if I was ready, the bone was completely regrown around the rods. And she said, wow, 4 months, that's quick. I can't believe, that you're ready to go, but we're taking you out of the cast today. And I knew it was going to look like that, because I'd already kind of seen in my mind's eye as I was laying there working with the angels. So those two angels, I just believe, are my personal guardians, like um my personal guardians. And they are, I was humbled. Some people talk about angels and they talk about how, they're pals with them immediately. I felt very humbled that such amazing energy was there for me and had been there with me throughout life. And I felt sad that, as intelligent as I thought I was, I'd gotten all these scholarships to college, that I didn't realize these light beings were all around me, right there, ready to support us. I mean, it's like, how can I have all this intelligence and not know that there's this world of light beings all around us at all times waiting to support us? And how can we continue to forget, even in the midst of our days, going to get coffee or working with people, that energy is always there? But that's what hit me. And from that point forward, I started working with different, like, I'd meet someone and they worked with Ariel, or someone else would work with Michael or Gabriel. And so I'd listen to what the energy of other people connected with, and then start bringing these into my world. I love community, so of course I love working with people who talk with a lot of people. Years ago in Austin, right after my accident, I had a friend there who was a Reiki worker, and he was one of the most clairvoyant, clairsentient, like, beings I've ever had as a friend. He died way too young, and he told us all the time, he told me and my best friend Dina, he was like, we are going to have him as an angel, and his name is Clyde. And he said, I'm going to be your angel throughout life. And we're like, shut up. You are not going to die early. This is ridiculous. Like, you're going to live, you're going to have a great life. He died so mysteriously at 36. He did not smoke. He never even smoked pot, never. His dad smoked, so it was secondhand smoke. He got throat cancer and in a short amount of time died. And I felt him with me immediately. So, that's just a side note. But sometimes our friends are like guides slash angels, who really just want to be there for us. So
Uh,
it's one of
I
my angels.
I loved hearing that. That was beautiful. And I would mention, I think it was 12 years ago, I tried grasping angels, I think for 2 years. I got this far. And the takeaway is they exist. Trust that this is so, and your answers and much more will come. But it's just a little slowing down out of here to here and paying attention more, which clearly you had to do because of everything that happened. And you've made it a practice to pay attention. What What's your reminder to everyone watching this? Even if it's 5 years in the future, what's your reminder about paying attention, getting from here to here, and how simple it all is? Do you have any daily suggestions on top of that? So first, the reminder of the simplicity of it all.
So the simplicity is this: if you're scared, if you're worried, if you're tired, and so say you're working on a health issue and you're taking supplement after supplement and you're thinking, why isn't this supplement working? Instead of doing that, go, angels, I don't care. Like, fill your light with the supplement. I don't care if it's, $30 or $300. Like, you fill this supplement or this medicine or whatever it is that you're taking. Call on them to help you with health issues. Call on them when you're afraid. So I'm terrified in cars because of my car accident, but when I call on angels, I'll see their energy around the car. I'll see them around other vehicles. I'll see, sometimes they'll put armor, almost like a tank, around the car. Sometimes they'll just show up as very large beings that are going out in front with a sword, like fighting for me on the highways. So they'll play with you. They'll do different visuals to help you be less afraid and to help you feel like you have a partner on your healing journey.
Oh, okay. Where else do you use angels? Is it before exercise? You're about to go for a run. Do you ask for extra stamina in the legs? Can you give us some more daily, day to day, week to week examples?
The best way, and of course, going into a classroom full of students, that was my mission. So anytime I'm speaking, anytime that I'm working with people, I just ask them to work through me. And yes, that can be like channeling. Sometimes you don't understand why you say certain things because someone needs that at that moment, but you just have to trust that sometimes it's not even what you say, it's the energy. Like it's truly the energy that they are sending through you into someone's heart at that moment. And you have to trust it, that you are being used and that they are a part of your journey, that they need you to translate this energy to the world. So never feel that you're unnecessary in anything that you are doing for this world, because they're with you.
Okay, you're on a roll here. What can you tell us about what goes on above the neck? Like, there's a lot of thinking and judging and fear and stress, worry, reaction, rejecting, knowledge that precludes possibility. We fill up with a lot of this, and not all of it is helpful, and that's a positive right there. How about some of it's a waste of energy? How do you label all this, and how important it is to again shift? It's kind of what you were talking about before, but how do we look at this? And how do we go into a broader consciousness, a broader awareness?
One of the most beautiful aspects of the near death experience was quickly feeling one with everyone. And I think that is where we're moving. As we move away from division, we move into oneness naturally, and we move into connection with one another. And it's really a light, loving feeling when and you can feel it at any moment. Walking down a sidewalk, someone hands you change. There are just little moments in life where you feel connected, like, oh, there isn't a boundary between me and you, and there isn't a boundary between me and the grass and me and this tree. And you begin to really feel how lovely that is, that you don't have to focus on the negative part of it. You can just see, oh, I'm a part of nature and I'm a spiritual being. And as you feel more of that oneness, then a lot of that judgment begins to fade away. And you start to see the beauty in everyone and everything around you. And you start to experience more innocence. And I think that you can know how harsh and horrible the world is, but still experience the innocence of being. And that's your divine right. The innocence of play, the innocence of being loved and being love. That's your divine right.
So paying attention more to where you're putting yourself, your focus, how you're flowing your energy. Can you talk to us a little bit about seeing light, whether it's auras or just universal light or how people are rolling with their energy? You don't always have to see it. You can feel it, I'm sure. Can you describe a little bit about how that's either evolved, how it kicked in after the near-death experience? Maybe you were doing that before as a kid. I don't know. Tell me or tell us a little bit about the light aspect of things, consciousness itself. Joseph Campbell talked about the energy being consciousness or consciousness being light, something like that.
So, one of the first things I noticed when I came back to Austin, the Celestine prophecy was very big at that time. And there were these little work groups where people would get together and talk about it. And the first step was seeing the energy of nature. Well, at Peace Park, I was going for a jog, you might know it. And I looked up, and the trees were sending light to one another. And I saw it very clearly. And then as I ran through the trees, they sent light to me. And I thought, oh, you loving trees. Thank you. And so the trees were literally helping the runners as they passed through. And I thought, how can you ever cut down a tree, when they are sending you love? It was just this moment where I realized, okay, heaven on earth really does exist. We just don't have the eyes to see it. We just, many times we have to create sacred spaces for ourselves, whether it's one particular part of a park, whether it's one bench where you sit and look at the ocean, but you can center that light of heaven here. And it can be a place where other people experience this, and you can clear energy from places. So if a crime happens in a certain area, if a house burns down, that school shootings, all these things, enough light workers can center light to clear the energy from that place and make it actually more open to holiness, instead of just that reminder of that moment in time that is disrupted.
Okay, now I've got a couple thoughts here. I'll try to get out one. I've been a runner for it'll be if I turn 56 in like 3 weeks. Let's see. I've been a runner for 42 years. And sometimes you think during a run, you don't lighten up. And then eventually the run gets you out of your thinking into your heart and you have a great time. But angels suggested I was to touch cedar trees as I was going by. Now I know why. Because as you're touching the tree, you're connecting, you're letting go. It's kind of like dumping a little, they don't mind. They'll put it into the earth. You're resistance energy. What is a way that you describe for listeners, for viewers here, especially even seasoned ones? We all need a reminder to let go, but can you take us through like a 10-second exercise that works for us all? Not necessarily to clear a space, but just to connect to all there is. And if we're out in nature, then maybe trees as well. Can you take us through, pretend you're leading a seminar right now. What do we do to just take our step to connect to all from here?
So it probably depends on you what you want to create, but I will tell you some of what I do. So I have a lot of back pain or neck pain sometimes because of my accident. And what I'll do is I'll go up to a tree and I'll stand against the tree like you. It will literally take pain out of my body and put it into the ground. So I find trees to be actual healers. That it sees what my spine is going through and it just takes it away. Another thing that people can do to be open to goodness from the universe is to turn in each direction. And sometimes angels are associated with directions, and you can look this up, but you can really just open your arms, put them upwards or outwards. If you don't want to look weird, you can just look up, and turn in four directions and just imagine the blessings of all these different directions coming to you. People, clients, good wishes, good energy from many different directions. And I find that important. Also, just grounding. I don't think we had a little technical glitch here, but I don't think people do this enough. I went and touched a plant. If your energy is taking in too much and you're getting, downloads from angels and, all kind of sources, sometimes you do need to ground before technology. So having a plant near your desk or just stepping outside and putting your feet on the earth can reground you. But a lot of times just a quick grounding meditation, if you can't do any of that, will help as well.
I wanted to show you a photo from a concert at Stubbs Barbecue because, first of all, you're going to know Stubbs Barbecue. And this is a concert. People were having a really good time. It's Two Door Cinema Club or M83 from France. So everyone puts their hands up at concert. I'm talking a good concert, and there's a vibe, and the vibe is like a decade later, you're still talking about the place. This is Stubbs Barbecue, but because you know Stubbs, and the pink ball light in the middle is Joy, and the bright purple just nearby is Claire. But can you
Oh,
describe you can connect right now. You can feel the vibe. People who want to put a hand out and feel the vibe, you can feel the vibe. It doesn't matter. This is from like 2014 or something, 2012. What can you tell us about group settings? Again, not just trees and nature, but when you're at a high vibe concert, it kind of makes sense that angels would come in and participate, help you let go of your worldly fears, your stress from work. Can you connect and take this somewhere from that and how a concert or other settings, just swimming in the ocean, what do we do with all that?
oh, so beautiful. So I think too often in life we do get stuck in our day-to-day routines, going to the grocery store, all the things that we have to do, and we miss the magic. And this is a magical journey. And I can tell you, after my near-death experience, every second, every painful step, and every blessed step, I learned to walk within a year was magical. That your feet on the earth is a magical thing. People group together in peace, that's magical as well. And so whenever you're able to meditate in a group, realize that angels do want to participate with this, that higher beings are there because you're learning from one another. So think about it this way: all the guides that you have that are helping you when you meditate in a group or when you go to a concert in group, everybody else's guides are there to participate and work with one another. And it was so beautiful, all the orbs above the people. I feel like sometimes those are ancestors too, that are along for the ride, wishing us well. Ancestors who love music, and some go back so far in time. Like you might never have met a great grandmother, but she might absolutely adore you and just sending you energy, on your journey, and loves what you're doing. And she didn't get to do in her lifetime what you're able to do, so she's along for your ride. And so sometimes a concert is like all the people and all the beings that are there for your ride just decide to celebrate with you and be there at a happy point. And we need those reminders that happiness is important, and taking time for the people that we care about to enjoy life with. Like that's what you remember when you look back. You look back to the moments where you're connected with one another, where you were in the flow of love, when you were in the flow of peace, and everything worked out for the highest good.
Hmm. Did you have moments where maybe relatives of yours have come through? It could have been a dream, or just you woke up quickly, you saw them, but you couldn't hold it for more than a minute or something. Do you have anything you'd want to share from like your ancestors, your Amakua, your group of cheerleading, your cheerleader squad?
So many stories, I don't even know where to begin. Like they show up a lot. And what kind of story would you like? Would you like one?
Just a fun one that was a reminder to like, whoa, slow those horses down and enjoy this. You were about to do something, and they were like, hey, change that energy in your approach so you could actually enjoy it, breathe.
Yeah, so one of the more interesting moments was my dad's parents. They both are on the other side. I've met my grandfather over there during the near death experience. My dad is over there now. So his parents and my dad showed up not too long ago, and I was driving, and I wasn't too far from a Luby's, and I don't go to eat at Luby's, but that was their place. They're older, and they enjoyed Luby's. So they said, would you please go eat lunch at Luby's, and we're going to have lunch with you? And I was like, okay, I'd rather just get it to go, but this is really quite strange. And I sat down. They had a full conversation with me at lunch. So it was just out of the blue. And they said, you just don't take time to actually have a full lunch with us. And if we were alive, you would take that time. You'd drive out to East Texas, you'd sit down and at least have a lunch with us. So have a lunch with us now. And so I remind people to have lunch with your mentors. Even if your mentor is Jesus, have lunch with Jesus. Have lunch with Mother Mary, have lunch with your ancestors, have lunch with your angels. Yeah, people might scoff at it, but it really happens. And I want you to remember this, the viewers. So I thought, okay, here I am having this conversation with my ancestors. Then I looked over, and Loopy's employs different people who sometimes are struggling with mental disorders. And there was a young man who I'm certain was schizophrenic. He was talking, to different people and who were not there. He was talking to himself basically. And I thought, this is interesting. I'm talking to people who are here too. And by the time he got to my table, he looked at me, and he cleaned off my table last. And he looked at me and he said, it's really okay that you talk to angels and people over there. It's definitely okay. And I felt so humbled. I just felt, I don't know, beyond humbled, because I know that he deals with a veil that's never shut, and mine opens and shuts when I'm ready for it, or when I'm in the right mood for it. Sometimes it opens up, when I'm not ready for it, but most of the time I have some control over it. And I thought, what validation too.
Oh, well, Eckhart Tolle talks about that in A New Earth. I think it's the orange book up on the shelf there, but he describes being, I think, on the tube, it's London, and he's seeing a woman talking out loud to herself on the metro, on the tube, and he's judgmental about it, and he's like, what's she going through, and all the rest, and he gets off, she's at the same stop. So she happens to be in front of him, and I think still having the conversation with herself. Well, she keeps walking and walks straight into the same, I guess it was a university of some sort building. He follows her, and he's marveling that she works in the same building as he works. And I think he goes into the men's room, and he's washing his hands, doing his thing, and he looks in the mirror. He starts talking to himself. A guy walks in and sees him talking to himself. Now he's in her shoes, and it's parallel to what you just said. It's an incredible moment of separating and realizing that there's so much more in each moment, and also so much more going around us and within us. It's kind of all the same. To that effect, What would you recommend, either a movie, a book? Obviously, Angels in the OR is your book and fantastic book for people to check out. It's on Amazon 6 different ways, the Kindle, the paperback, all the rest. But what are some surefire resources people can tap that you've enjoyed?
I love, and it's a classic, but Jonathan Livingston Seagull, Richard Bach. I don't know if you're a fan, but love the simplicity. I love like the simplicity of certain stories that just cut across cultures and remind us of certain things. And I'm also a fan of Isabel Allende, House of Spirits,
Hmm.
and just different books that she's written. I think people from other cultures, sometimes, especially Hispanic cultures, side story. A lot of my students, because they know I'm a medium, are Hispanic, and I will get their grandmothers yelling at me in Spanish sometimes. And I don't speak Spanish, but ultimately they're saying, my daughters and my granddaughters can do this. Like they don't need you. And I'm like, okay, okay. Just remind people that they can talk to their ancestors. So that book, oh, there's so many books. Of course, if you're into near-death experiences, I think Dr. Eben Alexander's book is a great read simply because he has that scientific knowledge to couple what he went through with this experience. But Raymond Moody he's one of the classics that I went to, and Kenneth Ring way back in the day. But you know, go in the direction that you want to go in. If you want to learn a certain ability, then find books in that category because you can soak up the energy of what people are learning. So right after my near-death experience, I wanted to learn how to lucid dream, to keep flying around out there. And so I read Carlos Castanado's books and whoever it is that you feel drawn to, go in that direction, whatever topic. But those are a few.
Ooh, okay. And I need to mention for the viewer, if you haven't checked out 2023, last year's season, Dr. Evan Alexander and Karen Newell were in episode, I think, 35 in September. Karen came back on solo. Evan came back on solo. I'll probably try to have them on again. In about 10 months or so. But also, Dr. Raymond Moody and Paul Perry came on. They took steps on the show everybody took steps on the show with angels. So people shouldn't be shy. Maybe I'll pull out the sage in a second. We'll blow some. You are fully capable, is my message to the audience, and we'll have you give some advice as well, reminding folks that they have it all here. They've got no limits. I'm going to just say all you have to do is basic listening, basic feeling. You do have to, it's going to feel like you're sticking your neck out or putting yourself out there. Pretend you've never run before and you're putting on running shoes the first time. I always tell runners or would-be runners, like, look at your shoes for a week and just sit and read a book. And then when you get over the concept of running, you'll do great. Just go to the first stop sign, come back to the house. Don't sweat. Don't work. And you'll always go 3 houses further. Eventually you'll do a whole mile, but it will be no effort whatsoever. What's your advice for a person to take just a little more chance? And if this is a veteran healer, they've worked for 3 decades doing the same thing. Again, the same principle applies. Get out of what you know and try something different. What's your reminder? And you've got to say it your way, Tricia.
Yeah. So when society is going through challenging, different times, and we are going through challenging times without a doubt, then miracles have to show up, and believe that the miracle can show up through you. Many of you probably have read A Course in Miracles or studied it, but what if it just worked through you without you trying? That's what I want my students to get, at the community colleges. What if you don't know what your major is meant to be, but just out of nowhere, something I said or another professor said or a student said put you on a path of research and interest that led to a career, that led to a book, that led to a life's work? You never know when it's going to descend into you. So just be open every day. Go, I'm open to the miraculous moving through me, whether it's the beginning of a journey, whether it's a lifelong journey, whether it's a week-long journey. I'm open to the miraculous. So I think that's what I'd say. And don't be afraid to invent something. There's all these amazing souls out there who died, and they have these great talents in every field, and they want to seed people with ideas. So there's unlimited intelligence and knowledge out there. And if you don't know where your idea comes from. I mean, we always say, this musician is inspired by, this particular band, or they're taking, streams from this musician. If they're over there on the other side, assume that they can help you. Assume that their energy to some degree, whether it's an actor, whether it's a performer, whether it's a scientist, believe that that knowledge can filter in magically into your life and give you what you need to push this world forward.
Oh, that was beautiful. And Einstein was really connected, and he had a lot of amazing quotes. And I literally on my Facebook page, I just put a few of those up. And one of them was Einstein said the only real valuable thing is intuition. And he also said, no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. But I don't think that I put this in the post, but he also said, keep your creative sources secret, referring to exactly what you referred to. I think he took a lot of naps, and during those naps, he would put the question forward, and when he woke up, he'd have his answers. I think that's pretty incredible. And way to go for describing all that. It was inspirational.
Oh,
I'm going to blow some sage. This is a staple on the show. If this is the first time you've ever watched, guess what? You could be in Germany, New Zealand, Canada. I think I was on 42 shows in 20 months, and the show hosts, the producers, the audience years later, you can smell the sage. This is making the point that Tricia's been making. No limits, and just let yourself go a little and be inspired. So I'm going to light some. And I guess I'd say I have one rule or bit of structure that's just ask angels to get you out of your head into your heart, make it nice. Amen, rock and roll, thank you. Om Sai Ram, if you're from India, you've got to figure out your patented way of setting your intent. And Tricia, what's your reminder for setting intent? How would you do it if you did it out loud? Do you mind sharing setting your intent right now?
yeah. So one thing that I ask for is, of course, the highest good. So, remove any blocks that are holding me back from bringing in the miracle, from bringing in love, from bringing in joy.
I love
So
it.
ask Creator to remove that so that that's what you're centering.
And I'm going to use a red-tailed hawk feather to blow some sage to Fort Worth from San Antonio. We're actually in the same state. This is incredible. Catch what you can catch, but at home, if you want to put your hand out, you can feel, call it the sage energy, call it universal light. Let angels do the job of bringing it to you. But go for broke. I think that's an old World War II movie. Go for broke and ask for flowers on top of that. You haven't had wisteria in forever, and that's your favorite thing from 10 years ago. Bring in wisteria or lavender or something. And if you're really crazy on this, ask for an ocean smell on top of it all. Lorna Byrne last year sometime didn't smell the sage in Ireland. She got daisies and roses. You can do this too. Just allow. And okay, Tricia, what are you feeling? What are you feeling, sensing, seeing on your eyelids? What are you smelling?
So one thing I'm smelling is I was asking for something and I got something else. I got the lavender that that you suggested. I was asking for gardenia or honeysuckle, but I got lavender. And I'm like, okay, I guess I needed lavender. So sometimes you get what you need.
Exactly. And I've learned to stub this out or put it out completely because if I don't, it'll look like my computer's on fire later because I always put this behind the laptop and now it's out. Okay.
Or someone's in the back smoking.
Exactly. We don't want to give that impression. And with your permission, I'll put Joy, Michael, and maybe one or two. You can choose who the figures are. Whether we've done this before the show, we took some steps together for people to know. So we know our plumbing, our electricity is working. I'm here to reassure everybody again. You are an Olympian with this. And what you think others are doing, if you think it's a really big deal, like some of the authors up there, Tricia, just give yourself a break on it. Don't worry about the thinking and the judging. Just allow. You do it during your exercise. If you go for a run, yoga, read a book, that's the perfect time then to pour some tea and do what she said about the lunch thing. But you can do just a cup of tea in the kitchen too. Here's Joy. If anybody wants to put their hand out and feel Joy's vibe, but Tricia, do you mind asking for a topic from Joy? Get anything private you want to get and get a hug. But then she's got a topic for you that you're going to be like, oh yeah, let's talk about this.
Yeah, I have it. So I don't talk about this enough when I tell my story. The near death experience changed how I viewed the body. and it changed how I viewed health and how we interact with light and the body. And so, one thing that so a year later, I'm completely healed. The body's mended. I'm running the Austin 10K a year later. And I noticed that my feet didn't fully touch the ground at times. Like that first year afterwards, like I was floating at times. I know this is weird, but it was as if I was so filled with that light from the other side. And I'd spent 9 months just meditating, working on this. Like I was literally not grounded. I mean, I was like part there, part here. But one thing that happens and that people talk about integration a lot is I would have weird moments where I didn't know if I was dead or alive. So, here I'd be like in a line and I'd go, wait, am I really here? Or am I, on the other side just imagining this? And so reality kind of broke down in certain ways. Time broke down. That first year in Austin was really strange. I would know things ahead of time. I think before the show you were talking about getting those psychic flashes before someone shows up. I was getting that frequently. So I was living this year where my light body was trying to fully integrate with my body, and funny things would happen too. So like I would walk under lights and they would like bust out. So a friend asked me to tell him, my near death experience story, and I told him. And street lights, every street light we went down was like busting through and breaking, like onto the ground. So I was like, we have our bodies when we awaken, we have a powerful interaction with the world around us, and that's how we should be living life. Yes, this life can dull us, and the pain and the struggle and these things can dull that, but you can always return back to that. So I do want to tell just a little bit of the near death experience story itself, because I think it does bring in the light. So, for people who've heard it before, what I want you to imagine that you too have angels just as I had that were working on my body. If you have to go into surgery, you have those angels that are participating with you in every surgery at every moment. They can be there with you no matter what. That was my first realization. And then also realize that you are a multidimensional being, and that's your true reality. You're kind of smushed into this reality, but you are a multidimensional being, and light is your ultimate healer. And don't freak out when you get a negative test result, because I've seen tumors leave my body. I have seen, my one blood test show something, work on myself a little bit, the next week nothing. So don't freak out over what doctors say. Know that you're always working with the light, and that the light that you are is a greater healer than you realize. So that's what I learned from the angels, that they were sending light to help me heal. They continue to do that. They also have reminded me that the more you spend in your lifetime working on sending that light and being that light, just like the Tibetan Book of the Dead, you can later in life choose how to leave this world. So, on your deathbed, you can participate with meditation, with healing, go a few days early. Like you can literally be in charge of when you leave, like yogis have been able to do. This is possible. Like I just want you to remember that. And I hope part of my work is later on creating meditations to help others do this and to help me do this someday. that I don't believe I'm going to die a traumatic death. I feel like I'm going to die of old age. That's a lot of near death experiencers understand this. Like they kind of see a flash of all of their lives, and I think part of my mission is to help people not fear death, but to make it sacred, whether you're dying alone, whether you're dying with a ton of people around you, to make it your sacred journey into that realm.
Huh, I love it. Okay, now I've got a mishmash of thoughts. One is in India, they always talk about, and it starts with sad, I think SAD something, where they, samadhi maybe, I forgot what it's called. But the guru goes into a state in which then they can depart on their timing. And that's in a lot of cultures. So that's incredible that you said that. I'm going to put Archangel Michael up next, but I'm going to mention Charlotte. She kicked out, she's one of my business managers, very cool angel. But she kicked out. I did not ask about this. I don't want to know when I'm my timing, but she said nighttime when you're asleep, she'll be the one that helps me cross over, whatever you want to call it. So I thought that was interesting. She often kicks out stuff that I never asked about. And it's okay. It helps get me a little more savvy down the road. Here's Archangel Michael. Again, put a hand out for folks at home. If you're still thinking too much, ask angels to get you out of your head into your heart and say thank you or amen if you're religious. Do it your way. But you can feel his vibe. Ask for a smell, ocean smell, get it your way again. But then ask a question. But Tricia, what do you got from Michael that is for public consumption? Get a beautiful compliment and get a reminder too about something privately that makes you chuckle. He's very funny, very humorous, I should say.
Yeah, so one thing that he has made me chuckle about right now is instant karma. and
Oh, whoa.
and
Okay,
as
let's
you
talk instant karma. It's like that cup of soup thing that's dry and you pour the water in, and you're good to go.
yes, that as you speed up on your journey, both you and those around you will learn lessons very quickly. And that's part of his doing. And it's not meant to be painful or judgmental in any way. It's just meant to go, okay, I have just as much compassion for others as I have for myself, but you can set boundaries too. Just as maybe you don't like boundaries that others have set, you can set them in a different way, or you can learn emotional intelligence techniques for, work or relationships or whatever area of life you're struggling in, that boundaries are important and they are your right. And Michael does remind us of this, but he also reminds us to have compassion for yourself and others as we mess up, as we're human.
Ah, nice. And that's one of those things. Let's digress just for a second. I'll put Charlotte up to help steer this a little, but pretend you've got the biggest jerk in the world. They're a part of an administration of a school and you're a professor somewhere, or it was the cop that pulled you over, but it's the fifth time that your neighbors, he lives 10 doors down or she lives 10 doors down, and you're going like this. And this happens. It could be your cousin, your sister, the one time you're fighting for 2 months. And there's a reason. This isn't something you just want to discard. You want to be appreciative. And this is going to sound insane that you could be appreciative of our conflict in some way. But can you talk to us? And I'll put Charlotte's photo up on this, how everything for a reason. I think it was Ted Lasso and a lot of people last year mentioned this on this show. Events don't happen to us, they happen for us. And that includes going head to head with someone. You're left steaming. You're still months later going on your runs and you're thinking about that person. What a jerk they are. But what's Charlotte saying? Charlotte, everybody's favorite school teacher from childhood with words meant to help you expand. She's a sweetie, older, a little bit 40s, 50s, 60s, just elegant. Trish, what do we do with when we have conflict or we're bumping heads or we're having a hard time at the workplace or stress or politics? How does everything serve as a reminder to love more?
Hmm. Oh, good. Okay, so it wasn't. Sometimes angels don't say what you think that they're going to say. So, like, my logical mind was just going to take it in one way, but what I actually heard from her is it's okay to walk away sometimes. You don't have to get involved in conflicts. Some of these are self-created because you want this conflict for some reason. And she's saying you're more evolved when you get to a point where you can just go, oh, look at that person trying to start a conflict with me, you silly goon, and just kind of walk away, like literally not engage with that. And that is a powerful tool. So sometimes we go through these knockdown, drag out scenarios just so that we can learn when the next one arises to just let it go. To just go, you know what? I don't have to send an email. I don't have to respond to that. I don't have to keep talking. I can go have a great lunch with the person who I'm in love with, and I can just not even think about this and really let this person heal by not having to interact with me.
Ah, good answer. I like that. Okay, you get a choice. Door number one would be four archangels. We're going to do them regardless at some point. Or a figure from India, the one from 100 plus years ago, Sai Baba. I'm supposed to say Shirdi Sai Baba to be proper and formal, but Mr. Miracles, tight with angels, and he straddled three religions, or you know, influenced by three religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, and Islam. But he's Mr. Compassion, and so I'm going to put a historical photo up. Do you want four archangels or Sai Baba?
Oh, Sai Baba.
Okay, so India, if you don't mind, let India, the highest vibration, India is like 50 countries in one. Let the highest vibration of jungle come to you. You can hear that tiger roar in the distance. You can catch the incense you couldn't buy in any shop today. That's sacred. What are we doing right now? Spiritual, universal incense from India. Come as if a temple is just 10 meters behind you. You can even hear those chimes. If somebody at home wants to shut their eyes, what are those musical things called that sway in the wind? That stuff, hear it on the wind, but let angels deliver the goods and the sound effects. And he is so sweet. People who want to see him move in the photo, he'll wink, smile, nod, shoulder waggle, move his hand. Let him do his thing. I'll try to hold it with two hands here to steady it. And let me know, Trish, when you get a little movement in the photo as well.
Yeah, I got a little bit of movement.
Good. Okay. He's amazing for a topic for you. I don't know what it is. I'm staying out of your zone here, but what does he have for you for us?
So one of the messages from my near-death experience was to be like a little child, and he's reminding me somewhat of that, but he's saying you can bring that caring energy into yourself, that you can be your own healer, that you are a spark of God. And he's reminding me that near death experiences teach so many people like we're a part of God. So that deep love that I felt as I was going towards God, well, I felt it more because I am part of it. You are a part of it. We all are a part of God. And that's the deeper realization. Why would a part of God not bring the miracle here? Why would a part of God not be able to heal itself? Why would a part of God not be able to give itself like so much love and care that it can make breakthroughs in healing, that it can push this world forward in different ways? So he's reminding me to tell your audience that you are a part of God and you have the ability to deeply care for yourself.
Oh, I'm clapping a little. That was beautiful. Okay, here he is, colorized version. I saw this and I'm like, oh my God. Can we do let's save a trip for everybody to India. Now, still go to India, hang out at the ashram, do the eat, pray, love, or just do your thing. But what would be a mantra from him to you if you want to keep that mantra and get a new one for all of us? It's your call. But what can you share from him, if I said it all the right way, that we should all maybe repeat once in a while, a little more often?
Hmm. So sometimes people are triggered by the word God, and he's saying that you are the temple of light. You are the temple of light.
Nice. I like that. And yeah, light is in everything. I think I wrote that down the other day, and that's literally like the trees. I meant to say trees have first names. You can chat with them. Not every single tree is going to want to talk with you. You're going to have to be a little loosey goosey here and allowing. But just start with your hand. It was what Tricia was saying about letting trees do their jobs. They're here to help and support Mother Earth and all of us in life. Beautiful. Okay, and I ran the CAP 10K, Statesman CAP 10K, and I got in the paper top 20 in my age group. I had to mention, because I know you're a runner, I'm a runner. We'll have to talk
Yeah.
after the show about the running thing. And if you're in Austin ever visiting, you should check out Gilbert. I can never pronounce his last name, but he's the most wonderful coach in the world. It's Gilbert Gazelles, and he survived an incredible experience in Burundi that would break anybody else. And he is such a joy bringer and joy giver. So he was listed in a PBS show of top 10 things that you need to know about Austin, Texas. So if you're a runner, check him out. They love guests. Make a donation when you're there with Gilbert's Gazelles in Austin. Here are four archangels: Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel. And let's do this. What is again the reminder about living, loving, exercise as a form of compassion? I heard that years back and I thought that was brilliant.
Hmm. Yeah, so one thing that I'm just hearing is that when you're too much in your mind and you're thinking too much, the best way to get out of that is to get into nature, is to yeah, to do anything in nature, anything with pets, anything that connects you to nature. That's why we are here. That a lot of times, you know, the very blue of the sky or the very green of the trees is what we need to calm down. And if we're looking at just screens and just thinking about stress, we're not a part of that green and blue world that we need to be a part of.
Absolutely. Okay, last one or two figures, but you get to choose. Mary, Jesus, the one that the Latvian Estonian student drew a long time ago that was in heaven is for real. Do you have a favorite figure? Who would you like that we might have handy for you here?
Oh, let's go ahead and do Jesus. That's the one that let's do Jesus.
Okay.
That's the one that causes the most trouble, because people in certain religions, get really defensive of their interaction with Jesus. But I see Jesus as a healer. I see Jesus as the ultimate healer. He brought healing energy to the planet. You can, I'm not a biblical scholar. I can't say, if the Bible was written by the Sumerians many years ago or if it was written to control cultures, but I know the spirit of Jesus is healing.
And he's got a great sense of humor. He'll tell you Jesus is big business for good reasons and not so good reasons. He's popular. He's got like my whole point would be like just let him show up and have a chat and relax. He'll take care of the details for you and the whole perspective thing. I know a lot of people are afraid to get to hear him do this, but here we go, Tricia. You got this. And this is that famous drawing from the very famous artist that I just can't remember anybody's name. So I so forgive me for that.
Oh yeah, Arkane. What is her name?
Yes.
Yes.
She's probably 29 out of two PhDs by now because I only remember her at like age 14 doing this. But and anyone can put a hand out, feel what you feel, don't judge. Listen, you'll get a great sense of humor coming in. If it sounds like your voice, just do something. Shimmy, give chubby checker, do your hips, shake your hands in the air, just relax a little more, and the voice will come full in.
Oh, what an unexpected message.
Okay, what do you get?
Oh, this is very interesting. So he's talking about laughter, and he's saying that laughter is indeed important. And he said that he works through comedians sometimes, and that some of his favorite comedians are actors too, who do like body comedy too. That he loves silliness and he loves for people to laugh because it lightens their mood, and it's one thing like music that brings people together, laughter.
Oh, okay. One more figure for you. Anybody? I mean, it could be Mother Teresa, Mary. I'm trying to think. Uh, Claire, an angel who's resilience. Who would you like?
Claire.
Okay. So, and we did not talk about it ahead of time. I just happened to, I got lucky on that one. So I just pulled her up. She's one of my dog's guardian angels. That doesn't mean she doesn't have 25,000 humans she's guardian angel to and another 40,000 dogs. But our poor dog was a rescue and went through just, needs an angel who's all about resilience.
Oh,
And people can stop and go back to that concert photo. You'll see her as the bright purple light next to the pink light that was joy. And if you want to get whooshed, anybody out there, 5 waves of Claire light through you. Just an amazing brilliance, an amazing, let her wash away your stresses and especially accumulated over time. When you tell that life story and it was rough, traumatic childhood or PTSD over in Iraq or this or that happened to you, let her wash that away so you almost either tear up or yawn, but make sure you get it off your household, out of your apartment, off your person. Fresher winds and more compassion, love, and light into you.
got it.
Okay,
Yeah.
and what does she have for us, or what do you have for us with Claire? Because this one, I feel like you guys are doing a tango or something.
Yeah. So, one thing that if you think about snakes, how they shed their skin and they become new, that's one way to think about rejuvenation as a human being. But another way is to think of this infinite light that begins in the center of your heart. And when you rejuvenate, it's like your heart opening up and creating you anew with light. and that you all have that potential. And so it's not that you're shedding your skin necessarily, it's that the light that you are is going to bust out of you and create you anew. And that's the resilience that she wants to give you, is that you're breaking through into the next moment and that other moment's gone. This is the next one and you're new.
Okay. What are some final reminders as we wrap this up? How do we keep it simple? How do we keep it fun? How do we keep it simply fun?
Yeah, so one way to keep it simple and to keep it fun is to play and to laugh. But I love people with a sense of humor. You have a great sense of humor. My husband has a great sense of humor. My students have a great sense of humor. It seems like I'm often surrounded by people who are lighthearted and funny. So be that person who keeps things lighter. And when you are too full of yourself, as we all get, like just look at yourself from a far away perspective. We forget that you can, in meditation, you can go very, very far away. You can get so very far away that even the earth is just a tiny little speck. And so remember that when you're overwhelmed by your problems, and remember that there's the far away perspective, and there's also the deep internal perspective, which if you get deep enough within yourself, you'll realize, just like some of the angels have communicated in this today, that you are light, that you are truly light at your core.
For some reason, when I bought the first home in Austin, Texas, I created a mantra list, all these quotes I had collected, and I bought the home in 2007, but I had like a diary when I first moved to New York out of college. This is like 1993. And I wrote down like really cool quotes that for decades I wouldn't understand what any of them meant. But here's one of those quotes that exactly what you talked about. Accepting ourselves means lightening up the ancient burden of self-importance. I like that. And I'm going to give you a couple more quotes and then we'll wrap up this way. Nothing ever really goes away until it has taught us what we need to know. That might have been Pema Chodron. What's your immediate reaction? Where can you take us on that one?
Yeah, again, it's that hyper focus of, okay, I need this to shift, or I need this to change, or I need, when I came back after my near death experience, I dressed up as a fairy, that was going to grant everyone a wish. And so I went to a party in Austin, a New Year's party, and I just asked people, and it was always love or money that people wanted, unless they had health problems, and then they wanted health, so those three things. And I thought, no one asked for awakening. No one asked for just joy. No one asked for what I had. And I left that party and I just thought, I have all the riches in the world. I have all the health in the world. I have it all just because I have that light. And I think I just want people to remember, it's much better than you realize. Your life is far better than you realize, and just be grateful for it, sink into the magic of it. And when things are meant to shift, it will shift beautifully. It will just shift the way it's meant to shift.
Tricia Barker, I love that. Positivity is abundance, joy is abundance, just being open, being in your heart is abundance itself, and everything else will fall into place. Tricia Barker, you are incredible. Thank you for being on Angels, Positivity, and Love. We will have you on anytime you want to come on. We'll talk after the show on how to do this. Meanwhile, please type in that comment. Say which part of this resonated the most. Did you smell sage? I get comments all the time from folks now. Those little shorts, I move really fast. You're supposed to pause those. They're 4 seconds. I hold up a photo of an angel. It's your chance to do your own listening and feeling, but I'm not going to play it for a minute. It's a short for a reason. Just pause the thing. And if anyone's noticed, those photos are everywhere, so you can just find it on your own time. Please like, subscribe, share. Please check out her website again. That's TriciaBarkerNDE.com. Tricia, as you would spell it, CIA. Not that she is. Barker NDE for near-death experience. TriciaBarkerNDE.com. That'll be in the fine print below the video. Tricia, you're amazing. I really want to thank you for coming on. You shared a lot, and you're never sticking your neck out, because this is what you do for us. You're blazing the way ahead for us to feel more comfortable just being us, more light.
Oh, thank you so much. I've loved your show, loved every moment of it. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Bye.